Greetings and welcome to Project Pandora. I am Darkling and this, of course, is Ark Survival Evolved. Today we'll be finishing off the flyer deck and then moving on to the water pen at the bottom of the base. So we're going from the top to the bottom, so stick around and hopefully you'll learn something. So on the last episode we left at me trying to sort out what I was going to do for the elevators for this level to access the upper level, and after I went away and had to think about it, I had a thought on how to actually proceed. So first things first, I want to move this guy over a little bit and then bring the ceiling down. Now I'm pretty sure there should be a snap point in there. Maybe there isn't. Is now. So I want to come down off that and probably about that low. Next thing I want to do is some more of these. Now what I'm going to do is use these as a ramp. Now how long would it? Ideally what I'd like to do is bring that, that's the one I want, bring that angle there into play. That looks like it's a bit high. Can we get a lower snap? Get rid of the gun. Well, it is the same snap as that one, so not so bad. I'm going to pull that one out. Okay, and it does snap that. That's fine. Got to test these things to see if they're going to work or not. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that as is. Move you, you're in the way. Now I feel like I could do this a little bit better. Okay, it's very bright, so I'm going to have to place this blind. Now have I got a ramp on me? I do have a ramp on me. Okay, let's try and come off straight. Actually, I could just have it straight. That would be fine. Because the thought that I'd had was if I then placed try there. Of course you went down the wrong way. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. That looks good. Okay, and finding the angle is the pain. I can live with that. Now I could possibly bring this around a bit more. I could see the snap. It's really, really bright. If I came off that with one of those, it's going to be pretty strong. It's not going to line up very well still anyway. So now I've got that into place. I am then going to place the elevator in there, and I'm going to make it opaque. So if I wanted to, I could stick a couple of storage boxes up here for anybody to access that's needing a quick drop off on their quits or RG or whatnot. And now I need to get to the top level. I'm hoping this isn't going to take too long to get sorted. Now obviously this one here is not going to work unless some freak of... Oh, that actually worked. Okay, so they don't have to be completely perfectly aligned, but I'm going to make sure it is. So, first thing is first, I am going to need... Ooh, now I can actually do this a little bit differently than I thought. Because I have... How much of this was actually filled? So it's one tile that way, that way. Oh, I wonder if I can get away with it. Okay, so if I remember my snapping correctly, I snapped in this direction. Snapped on there. Looks about right. It's really difficult to see. And snap this one blind. Okay, so if this is all correct, I should now be able to snap onto these. Oh, I'm out of... No wonder it's not working. Okay. I might need some more of these if this is going to be the way I'm going to do it. Okay, so obviously I've got a nice little box there now. What I do is get some more of those, and I'm going to fill that in. Now I was actually going to raise this up higher, but I thought, well, if I do that it's going to be really, really high, and I didn't think there was going to be any way around that. Oh, come on, snap to the right spot. But because I've got the space below that has the hollow space, I can actually dig into that a little bit. I'll need to check it when I do it. I might not do it all the way around, but... Oh, come on. I'm actually starting to get excited to see what something looks like, and you're giving me bad snaps. Okay, I'm going to move this in my hotbar because this is getting really annoying. Yeah. Don't know why it pulled the gun out again. Now that snapped to the wrong... It's fine, I'll work with it. I'll just have to move all the rest to match. Probably better if it snaps on the higher one, because the way it's going to stick through, it may end up sticking through a little bit too far, which is what I'm most worried about. Excuse me, Mr. Quetzal. Actually, are you carrying any more roofs? You are. Excellent. Oh, you gotta love the weather in this game. Other than the fog, which now has a feature to turn it off, which is amazing. Now, you snap quite happily to that lower one. Can you give me that higher one to match the rest? Yes, excellent. Now, this is going to be a pain. So I'm going to make it so it isn't a pain. Ooh. Oh, before I go any further. How much does it stick through? Oh no. That's too far for me. that's fine. How does it stick through on the other sides? Yes. Okay, so the front and the back I can't do. So I can live with that. So what I do is fill that back in. I'm not actually sure what just happened. Something busted, I heard it break. I must have replaced a tile. Never mind. Pull that up and pull the front one up. Now to do this, I'm going to need access underneath. Oh, of course I've got the original supports, that's fine, it can be pulled. Now, can I do it from this distance, is the question. Let's pull another one out. I need a ramp to get up and down. Oh, that is pretty close to the edge, isn't it? Oh, that was it. Excellent. I'm just going to cycle through some of the snaps, see if it'll cycle to the one I want. No, it doesn't look like it. There it is. Sometimes you just have to get some weird angles for it to work properly. Let's see if I can go through the other side. Oh, is it really that far apart when they're down here? Oh, there it is. And the other one, I can pull that out now. Oop. Excellent. So all I have to do is I want to stick a rail on the front and the back. I forgot to switch these to half walls too. I was hoping these would be nice and quick, but as with all things Ark, time is really dependent on how many issues you have along the way. I feel like there should be a rail on the front and back. Now, did they snap the same height? They did not. So let's snap this one downwards. Down. Yep, that works. I partly want to... There is part of me that wants to snap something under here, or a railing down, but to be honest, I think it's okay as it is. I stick railings on everything. I think having a bit of a ramp without one is... I think it's going to be fine. If I wanted to, I could stick a little roof or something on this to make it look a little more interesting, but I don't want to build up too much higher. I must be reaching my build height limit. Oh, of course I need to test it. Make opaque. Well, that works fine. Okay, so now for the others. It's a real simple idea. I mean, I probably could have done something fancier, but I think it suits for the purpose. Oh, first things first, let's bring down that top layer so I can reach it. Now, is this one also going to be missing that front? It is. Did I get really lazy when I did these? No, it's definitely there. Okay. fine. That should be enough for now. You can get moved out of the way because you're definitely going to end up in the way. Get these guys in place. Now I do like the idea of having a little bit of travel time through a base. I don't want to make it too easy to get around. Now that sounds like a bit of a weird thing to have, but I kind of want to have to travel a little bit because the base is really nice looking. Things are starting to look pretty awesome. I want to enjoy the experience when I play a base. This looks right. Now I snapped there. I can actually see it this time. Snap there. Oop. That's the one. Be it a certain, if you went through the videos, there's certain phrases that I probably repeat over and over and over again. I hope they don't get too repetitive. Stick that one. Oh, I already stuck that in there. Now I just realised I didn't fill in the slope walls. Now I don't need that many. I'm going to sprint over here and fill these ones in. That one there, I'm guessing. Awesome. Oh, can't go that way. I quite like that. I think with a bit of lighting around here, there's... That did not snap in the right place. I'm amazed that actually worked. Okay, it's not sticking through the wall that side or that side. Still works, I'm assuming. You can't go up any further, of course. Okay. So yeah, when I first put the pillar in, I was kind of against how it looked. I thought it looked a bit silly, but I've got a bit of a gap up there. See, this is one of the problems you get when you're working in a large build, is occasionally you'll get random spots where you'll have a gap, and there's not much you can do about them. It's really hard to be sure which snap point didn't work. Okay, so that's all sorted. I need to put the sides on these. There's certain times where you've just got to let it go. Don't stress too much about them. That particular one, I couldn't even be sure where the error happened. It's somewhere along the way something's gotten a little bit out of whack. And to actually fix it, I'd probably have to go through and pull most of the top down, and I'm just not going there. Gotta learn which battles to actually fight. What we want. Go. And I need to get up the top. So this is quite a decent place for Quet's Landing. Nice and big. I'll have a look at this now. Yeah, see, there's quite a space there. I feel like it's actually in here a little. I wonder if I can release anything. Press the trigger. There it goes. Snap to that side. Snap to that side. No. Keeps snapping back there. It jumps around between the two, but it seems that they're so close. Even snapping to the opposite doesn't seem to help. Grab that one off. Now, I was going to leave this be, but I just want to see if it's an easy fix or not. Okay, there's a slight gap there. Still getting that gap. This is a snap that does not want to shift. Oh, there it goes. I managed to move it. I'll have to move this one. Ooh, I want to move it, but not that far. Okay, so that particular gap was actually fixable. Cool. Okay, where are we? We've got a spot here. Something doesn't feel right. Yeah, that works. You'll get a sort of a sixth sense when something hasn't snapped properly too. And you've started doing this enough. See, some of these snaps I'm really winging it. Okay. Now to get the railings there. Oh, did I just see another gap? Didn't I just fix that one? Oh, okay, it's shifted it over a little bit. Yeah, I'm not going to deal with that. I'm going to cut my losses. Don't feel you have to fix everything. I'm pretty picky with certain things. Spots like that, no matter who's building it, I would just say, you know, let it go. I would never fault somebody for that kind of snap. If they had big holes in the walls or whatnot because they've not snapped things properly in that respect, I'd be a little bit more, well, you could have done this better. But like sloped, the tri-sloped roofs and gaps like this in tri-floors, that can happen to even the best builders. Did you just snap to the bottom? Ceiling, stone railing. Okay, I don't know where you snapped, but I'm having that back, thank you very much. Oh, that was definitely my fault that time. Okay, I've got that high snap point as well. So I want to try and match it roughly to what I had on the other side. Man, you really want to snap up there, don't you? Oh, why is it jumping so much? There's absolutely no movement of my mouse, but it really just did not want to stay there. See what it is, I've got too many snap points in this area, so I'm getting a bit of musical snap points going on. Oops. The more you build an area up full of snap points, the more problems you're going to have with things like this. And you basically just got to learn how to maneuver around and try and attack it, literally attack it at a different angle. Now, that is where I want it snapped, sort of. I want that higher one. I might have to settle for the lower one. Give me, no. I might just turn those off. What I want is the time of day. I actually quite like Arc at night. It's my favourite time on in the game, except when True Dawns are around, in which case I hate them. But I love nighttime on this game. It has a really nice ambience. That's the one. I wonder if I can actually get this one here snapped now. Oops. Don't want that one missing. So one there would be ideal. Wish I could do it without moving the mouse. Okay, see if I can snap this to the opposite now. There? No. Okay. Not being helpful at all. Let's try it at an angle. Is that the right one? Feels like the lower snap. I just want to keep it consistent. I'd prefer the lower snap on every single one, but to keep it nice and embedded. But the chance of actually getting it like this, it's just one of those things. It's just not going to snap in the right place for me. Take a couple of these out so I can get up and down. See, that's me trying to go with what the game was giving me by the fact it kept giving me the top snap. On the other ones I just went with the top snap. Usually I'll go for the cleanest looking one, which is that lower snap. Give me... I cycle through to it. No. If I remove that one, there we go. Now I'm going to put these back in place. I was hoping to get started on the C-pen today. I mean, there's still stuff to do on the main structure, but I would love to get the C-pen completed so that I can make all the foundations invisible. I still have a few things that I need to sort in various areas. I definitely feel like this is the home stretch though. I'm not sure how many hours specifically, but it's probably little things from here. Ooh. Works for me. Now, where did I put it down? Okay. 5, 5. Actually wondering if I should have railings at all. No, I need railings on the back. Now, I need to work out if it's going to snap to the lower one. No, it went to the higher one. Okay, so that snapped to the opposite. So, teleport down, teleport up. Sweet as, move on. Okay, so from the top down. Oh, I can actually move that around too. That's going to go up on the top level. That's, if you hadn't seen the video, that is the carrier quits from one of my tutorial vids. So far all my tutorials have been on the same world. I do plan to carry on building on this world. I've even thought about actually building some more bases on this particular one. Now I've mentioned it in one of the earlier videos. I'm not sure which ones, if they were tutorials or the early ones of the Pandora, Project Pandora, but I have wondered about setting up a Patreon. Now I've had a few people tell me it would be a good idea for me to do it, and since then I've just sort of been umming and ahhing over it, because to do the Patreon thing, it's good if the people get something out of it. And the only thing I've really got to offer them at this point is my save games. So if you guys think that it's worth setting up a Patreon so that people can download some of these saves and support me, then comment in the comment sections, let me know what you think. I would be interested to see what the viewers have in the way of thoughts on that. So I'm just looking at that side. I think it plays properly, but I just need to check. Yeah, I'm really curious as to what you guys think. I'm still umming and ahhing over it because I feel bad getting cash for doing this sort of thing, but if I do get any, it'll be for upgrading my machine so I can produce better videos, because at the moment I'm kind of limited to what this computer can handle. I'd love to do some streams and actually live stream some of the build. I think that'd be really fun. There would be no face cam. If anybody's gonna ask, I don't do face cam because it's not about what I look like, it's about what my builds look like. Maybe later down the track. I doubt it, but you know, who knows. At this point it's a definite no. I gotta admit though, I do look, when I'm going through looking for a new streamer for Ark or something, I do often look for the people with a camera. I don't know why. I feel really bad actually doing it, especially considering I don't like cameras myself. Okay. I need some more tri-roofs. Well, looks like we're going to end up with just enough to do the project. Oops. Getting a bit close and personal with that quetzal. Oh good. Not so good. Excellent. Ooh. Server lag. Oh, okay, that's judging by the time since the last one, that must have been server save. So my server saves are 15 minutes apart. I do that because, oh, it's default. But I know a few people that have adjusted it to longer intervals, but with how much I build, half an hour to an hour worth of lost save game, that's a huge amount. I mean, you can see what I get done in an hour when I'm really pushing myself. When I'm building without talking, I can get through a lot more. You lose an hour worth of work, that's quite a bit. How far back can I do this? Oh, it felt like it was the right spot. Go around this one. So yeah, I thought if I was going to do Patreon at all, that a save game would be a really cool thing to be able to get, because then you guys could, if you're supporting me obviously, you could get access to the saves and run through, see some of the tutorials, actually play in this base. I'm not even sure I'm going to be playing in this base, and I actually kind of feel bad because I'm really liking how it's turned out. It's, I don't know, it feels really good. I mean, I don't feel that way about a lot of my bases. The second tour vid that Mazion did, there's the storage base at the start, and then there's the playing base that I built. I didn't play from it for very long because I ended up finding a good server to play on. But that first base, oh bugger, I'm actually out of those. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. That first base that we toured, the storage one, I liked a lot of the parts of it, but the actual overall base, I didn't actually really like it. I felt that it was kind of half-assed, is the word that I'm looking for. That picked it up. I don't want to pick it up, I want to demolish them. You'll see me doing this from time to time. Just destroyed what I'm actually going to make. Why are you not making them? Only when it's in your hotbar and empty, it'll automatically build it. Oh, that's why. Apparently since the last mind wipe. Okay, there we go. Yeah, this character wasn't used a lot since one of the changes Wildcard did. They reset everybody's stat points, and I was mostly using this map for storage, which has since been moved off here. And because of that, the stats never actually got fixed up because I wasn't actually using it, and all my tutorials and builds have all been spawned resources, so I'm a little bit behind on fixing that. Oh snap, excellent. I thought snapping to the opposite might work on that one. Okay, so that's the lower one. And we have a working elevator. So I think first things first. Now we're going to need to bring that down again. Well, that button on the keyboard's a bit sticky. I mean, sticky as in it was really hard to push. This is my other half's computer. You haven't caught me saying it before. I use this particular one for recording because it's better than mine. Unfortunately, both of them are upgraded to their utmost limits. They can't actually be upgraded anymore, which is unfortunate, but it's just the way of things. They're not that flash a system, which is why if I did get any support from anybody, it would go straight into upgrading these, well, at least my one, so it's at least capable of nice quality of video. Now, thinking about it, I'm not going to be able to land here, am I? Which is unfortunate. I'm going to shove this guy into... Oh, actually no, I need to go and change resources. That's what I need to do. In fact, I might actually change completely over and use the golem. Okay, Mr. Golem, what do you have on you? You have some food. In fact, I believe the Quetzal needed some of that. Okay, let's move you into place. What's the weight on you? Oh, actually the weight's not that great. 296. Nearly 452. I don't know what your stats went into. Probably movement speed. Actually, I think that might have been which one it was. Okay, this is the one I needed to... when I was clearing some of the debris around for the builds, I was running them through the trees to demolish them. So that's why he has lots of speed and stuff all else. Come on. Oops. Sorry, Juggles. Let's drop. And pick it back up. Okay, let's go a little bit further forward. Don't need the weight. 102, what's his weight like? Oh, that's going to have to do for now. I really love the golems. They're really cool creatures. Yeah, a little bit of full damage. He'll be fine. Okay, so thankfully I have infinite stats on, so I don't have to worry about browning. I'll drop everything I'm currently carrying and take as many of these as I can. I'm gonna have to do for my hotbar. I'm gonna put this to 4. Now, how far up? Now that looks like it's about a wall from the top. Yeah, I think it's going to be the height. Now the beauty of the spot that I picked to build this, because I wanted it in the water to hide the foundations more. I mean, I know I was going to make them out of glass so I could hide them anyway, but because of the way I was setting up, the fact that it's so flat under the water here is amazing. It's very rare to find a super flat piece of land in Ark. So one particular spot is pretty good. Whoops. Did I actually pick that other one up? Yeah, I did. Cool. Okay, so that's all the ones I've got on me. We'll go through quite a few for this part. Now, I'm obviously not filling in the whole bay. I have made this bay on one of the servers I played on. I made the entire bay a public access pen. In fact, you can actually see on the first tour video that was I had a tower in the middle of the bay that people could land on. and Maz challenged me to land a Quetzal, not Quetzal, a Wyvern on one of the landing pads, which I have done numerous times. However, that particular time it decided that the landing pad that I wanted to land on wasn't the landing pad that it wanted to land on, and I almost ended up in the drink. Oh, for those out there that don't know that expression, end up in the drink, end up in the water. When I was a kid, we used to have a boat and we used to go out in the go out sailing from time to time. I am not from a rich family, but I was lucky to experience that in my youth. So there's a few little terms that I still remember from those days. I don't know if they're actual boating terms or just terms that our family used. I gotta say, I miss being out in the water. There's something really peaceful about waking up in a cabin when you... So picture this, you obviously you're anchored in a nice sheltered bay, and you wake up most mornings and it's generally pretty calm. So you can hear the noise on Ark here, where you've got that kind of sort of a gluggery sort of noise. That isn't all that dissimilar from the noise that you actually get against the side of the boat. Obviously this is a little bit different because it's actually underwater. I'm going to do that. I wonder if I might actually have to ghost in there to do that one. Or that few. Oh come on, surely you can do that one. Spam the Q and nope, it will not touch that one. So there's a few ways around this. Build across the top and then build downwards. In this particular instance, I'm going to ghost it. Now if you're ever using ghost underwater, be very careful. Don't go through the world too far. You can get all sorts of problems. Don't mount anything. This is the first time I've actually used Ghost on the entire build. And that's just because the terrain. Whoop, don't go down. Panic stations there. Yeah, some of the terrain in this game is a little bit screwy. Ooh. Okay, for some reason I hadn't actually got it selected. Now I'm going to put cheat walk, which I may have just hit an extra button on. It did. Okay, so we're back in the reality. So yeah, you get that tinkling sort of noise against the side of the hull, and the light reflects off the water, and you get that shimmering effect, not dissimilar to what's on the surface of the water here. You get the light reflection coming through off the water into the cabin, and I tell you what, waking up to that, looking up and seeing that nice little shimmering effect on the ceiling, it's very calming. I'd love to go and re-experience it again as an adult. It's not on the cards. You have to have a fair bit of money to be able to afford a boat. The guy my mother was with at the time, he was a builder and had the boat, and we ended up not having it for I think I was about 13 when they lost the boat. It didn't sink or anything, it's just they had to get rid of it for financial reasons. I think he paid about 100 grand for it, which is pretty reasonable considering it was a 45 foot. We used to go out every weekend, just across in Auckland. if you've ever seen any of the America's Cup, early America's Cup races, I believe they did them. Oh, that was in Auckland, wasn't it? I'm sure they did some of the TV broadcast yacht races around Rangitoto. That's classically what you'll see displayed on a lot of photos of Auckland's water. Is you'll see Rangitoto Island, which is a big green mass, and it has a bit of a double bump on the top. And there's a bay there called Islington Bay. Izzy Bay is the sailors call it. And we used to go there most weekends. So we didn't go far. When I actually had school holidays, we did used to go a little bit further. We went pretty much all the way up to the top of the North Island. Didn't quite make it all the to the very top, but very close. And we saw a lot of the countryside that you just can't get to by car. Some really amazing stuff there. Oh, Juggles, you're over here. That's probably a good thing we would have drowned. So I was very lucky in that respect to have that experience, especially considering we definitely weren't well off. Just happened to be who my mother was dating at the time, kind of lucked out for me in that respect. Well, other than the fact that I didn't get along with the guy, but you know, the holidays themselves were fantastic. That's always the way though, isn't it? Often that kids get along well with the stepfather. Ooh, that's too much. That will have to do. So yeah, I did a little bit of... I was pretty young at the time, so I did a little bit of the sailing myself. You know, when we're actually out in the water, I'd be behind the wheel from time to time. Only in certain circumstances when we're actually out at sea and I can't crash into anything. I got used to the dinghy whenever I wanted to when we were in harbour. Had to use the oars to begin with, and I eventually graduated to being able to actually have the outboard motor on there. So we went to some really cool places in New Zealand. There's a place called Bay of Islands, and if you ever visit New Zealand, it's a great place to go. It's the biggest bay in the world, I believe, that actually has islands within it, and there's a lot of them. And if you go straight out from there, there's a place called Cavalli Islands. Now, I only went there once, but I don't remember many of the specifics, other than the fact that it was super awesome. I do remember that it was the whitest of sand beaches that I have ever seen at that point in my life. I really enjoyed the experience, and it was kind of one of those islands where there was nobody there. Absolutely nobody. I mean, there's quite a few of those around the country, but it was a really awesome experience. I didn't go down the country very much though. I think probably because it gets colder, and my mother wasn't a fan of the cold, which is why we moved to New Zealand in the first place. I was born in England and she did not like the cold. And the first place we moved to get away from the cold was Spain, which is pretty much the exact opposite, and it was so ridiculously hot. I think we stayed there for a couple of weeks before they decided to try and move out here where my auntie lived. And we've been here ever since. No, I was hoping to get this actually done. I've still got a few minutes to go before we run out of time. but I don't think I'm going to have time to actually complete this whole piece. Oh, man, I thought I was actually going to have to ghost there for a second. So what I'm going to do is all these are going to be made completely transparent. Well, sorry, I'm going to turn off all the edgings so that they're just glass. Before I do that, I'll tint them all so that it's just a solid colour. Take this guy around a little bit. They've done a good job underwater in this game, other than the jellyfish. As far as I'm concerned, the jellyfish should have more of a foil. We should be able to feed them something so getting stunned by them doesn't dismount you. I really don't like jellyfish. I think that kind of ruined the underwater experience for me. But, you know, everybody has their opinion on how all that goes. But yeah, as I said, if you ever get into New Zealand, Bay of Islands is a great place to visit. Last time, it's been a long time since I've been there, but when I was there it was a very quiet place. I'm assuming it's a lot busier these days. As time goes on, things do get a lot busier. But I can't remember the name of the place. Where the Treaty of Waitangi was signed was up there. Is it Russell? Somewhere around there. The Treaty of Waitangi is where the Māori and European cultures signed their peace treaty. So we actually get taught a lot about the Māori society in school here. Obviously, because, you know, as you do with native cultures, they do tend to emphasise on things like that. But I kept up my my language studies of it. I don't know like the language fluently or anything like that, but I know a few phrases and whatnot to keep me going. Does pay to know the local lingo. It helps knowing some of it for some of the pronunciations, because I tell you what, the pronunciations of Māori words, they're a challenge at times. Although they've got nothing on Aboriginal names from Australia. Ho, ho, ho. Some of those names are shockers. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, remember to hit the like button, hit that thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and remember to join the Discord if you haven't. You'll see screenshots from various builds, and you can also post your own screenshots in the tithings section. So take care, and as the Māoris say, ka kite anō, take care and enjoy your building.